Hey guys, welcome. I have been home for maybe 10 or 15 minutes after a long work day, and I am very, very excited to have made it home in time to be able to narrate this set live. This is ADV Cup, very, very deep. Not sure how many players are left, maybe 16 or so, but we are very deep in the tour, and this is, as far as a lot of people are concerned, an early finals. It is Roro, who is the defending ADV Cup champ and one of the most accomplished ADV players of all time, against the Thelinearcurve, who may not be there today, but just a couple years ago was almost universally considered to be the best ADV player on the planet. These guys are both really, really good. These guys, whoever wins this set, is probably the favorite to win the whole tour, and I can't wait to see live, just as you guys are, how this plays out. So Linear is on the top with the alt that he uses quite a bit these days, my prehensile trunk, and McMegan Roro on the bottom with a really unusual Raikou lead. Raikou's not seen a lot in the meta. In fact, it got moved to BL very recently and out of OU, but lead Raikou is even more unusual, and Roro actually accidentally loaded a GSC team, it seems, with both Raikou and Zapdos, which is highly unusual for ADV. So Linear, with what seems to be just a generic physical or mixed offense team, including a Heracross, has got to be wondering what's going on the other side. Now, when I see Raikou lead, I automatically just think he's got some kind of Dugtrio insurance, so maybe he's trying to bait out the Dugtrio and he's got a P2 in the back, and then he's got something like a Super Celebi or a Super Rachi or whatever it may be that would really benefit from Dugtrio being gone. And then when I see Zapdos, I'm not sure what to think. This could be some weird variant of a Calm Mind spam team, a special offense team. I can see maybe it's like a Calm Mind Baton Pass Celebi kind of setup. Very interesting. If I were Linear, who apparently is not running what I thought because he's got a weird team as well, I'm really not sure what to make of this. There's the Porygon 2. That was relatively obvious, but Linear's got a weird pairing as well. He's got Heracross and Blissey, which are almost never on the same team. Those are very opposites. They do not typically fit on the same archetype. Heracross is typically offense only. Blissey, I don't want to say is defense only, but it's a weird combo with Heracross. They typically are trying to do very different kinds of things. Now, Blissey seems very difficult for what Roro has shown so far. He's got 3 purely special-based attackers here, and the Ice Beam actually kills Zapdos there. I don't think that's what Roro had in mind. He did miss the Toxic, which may matter if he had something cheesy like a Substitute or a Protect Dugtrio in the back or some way to get the Blissey down after hitting it with Toxic, because he must have known that Ice Beam was coming. So, I mean, he wouldn't just throw away a Zapdos there when he presumably had something that could have switched into the Ice Beam without an issue. He wouldn't switch the Zapdos, or the Tongue-Tied. He would not have sacrificed the Zapdos just to get a Toxic off there if he didn't have some kind of plan. He's got a T-Tower in the back, so I'm very unclear on what Roro's team is, but it clearly is a team that has Dugtrio weaknesses in the back, because he's trying to lead the Raikou, get it dugged, eat it with Porygon 2. Here's T-Tower, which is one of the Dug vulnerable Pokemon, but there's got to be at least one more out of the 2 remaining, whether it's a Celebi, a Rachi. It could be a number of things. Maybe he's got his own Heracross. I mean, whatever it is, he's got at least one more, if not 2 more, Dugtrio vulnerable pokes in the back. Unclear as to whether Linear is going to have that or not. He seems to have like an Asta-esque balance team, which doesn't usually carry Heracross, but some kind of balanced variant for Linear on the top. Don't know that he's going to want to stay in with Starmie here. He could go for Hydro Pump. He pulls it back to Hera, and Roro wasn't comfortable with it either, so he pulls back as well. But obviously Heracross here with the big 1v1 advantage, type matchup advantage here, speed advantage, could really crack the P2 in the head with a Brick Break. Even a Mega Horn would do a lot. Non-choice band, which we know that it is because we do see leftovers here. Non-choice band would not kill, assuming it is just a standard 252 Porygon 2 or something very close to that. But it would definitely hurt. And T-Tar comes in. I don't know about that. I mean, it would have gotten rocked by Mega Horn or by Brick Break. So Roro decides his least valuable poke is the Tyranitar, which I don't know how I feel about that, but he does at least have a Dugtrio on the back to make it a 1-for-1 trade. Linear with a clear advantage here, not only up a poke, but he also has 2 hidden pokes, and the Blissey seems really difficult for what Roro has remaining, and one of the very best Dugtrio punishers in the game is absolutely Salamence. Any variant of Salamence, really. But Salamence is a tough poke for these special Calm Mind-esque offense teams that Roro seems to be running to deal with. Now, Porygon 2 does deal with it decently, and maybe that's going to be the play. Maybe that's why Linear is hesitating here. If he were to go to Salamence, the standard response is just to go to the Porygon 2, which is at 80%. I think that Linear could probably anticipate that and make some kind of double switch if he has a good switch into the Porygon 2. Now, defensively, the P2 should not be an issue because the Blissey can just wall it all day unless the Porygon 2 is toxic, which is yet to be determined. But defensively, it's going to be the Porygon 2 might be an issue as far as Linear breaking through it. The Blissey, the Starmie, and the Salamence are all Pokemon that potentially are going to have a hard time offensively breaking the Porygon 2. So we'll see what the last 2 are. I mean, he's got 2 in the back, and surely at least one of them is going to have some kind of offensive presence. That Pokemon certainly does. We've got Metagross in the back. That seems like a tough poke for Roro to deal with at this juncture. Porygon 2 does not take the Meteor Mashes that well, nor does it overly threaten the Metagross back. Meta can definitely take the Ice Beams, the Thunderbolts. He's Toxic Immune. Thunder Wave is annoying, but it's not backbreaking. We already know, since it's staring in front of us, that Roro does have the Dugtrio here to potentially get some kind of revenge kill on the meta if he can weaken it. You cannot one-hit KO it with Earthquake in the overwhelming majority of cases, depending on the EVs for Linear. I guess it is possible that it is an Adamant Dugtrio, but even that is not a guaranteed KO. And it's going to be Raikou taking the chance, switching in on the Mash here. Mash does seem like the right play, but there is the chance there that he had just gone for Earthquake and knocked it out. He didn't pull the trigger. I agree with mashing. I get why he mashed. It's more powerful. It fishes for attack raises. It hits the Porygon for more. And there is a Gilligros, which is really difficult for Roro because now the Dugtrio cannot revenge kill, which is clearly what he was going for. He was going to Thunderbolt. He was totally fine dying to an Earthquake. Then he was going to go to his own Dugtrio, kill the meta, and just call it a trade. That is now out the window, and all of a sudden this is a real problem. Does Linear pull the trigger and go mash? He does not, and he might regret it. Had he mashed there, he might have a 2-hit KO on the Porygon. Porygon now with the opportunity to get lucky, and that looks like that might be the case here. He gets the Thunder Wave off after Meteor Mash misses. Linear might be kicking himself for not going for that initial mash when he had the chance. This is now going to make the Metagross bait for the Dugtrio. Any potential sweep that the Metagross would have had is out the window because even if it kills something here, which is no longer guaranteed, the Dugtrio can pick it off after the fact. The big question for Roro is what is his last poke? It needs to be something that beats Blissey here because Raikou, Porygon 2, and honestly really Dugtrio, and the Blissey's at 100% and there's no spikes, all 3 of those do not beat Blissey. So something in the back, whether it's Jirachi, not even really Celebi if it's a Toxic Bliss, we don't know. We've only seen Seismic Toss or Ice Beam. But like a last poke Coon, a last poke Lax, a last poke Jirachi, depending on the build, those could be an issue here. Metagross probably has Explosion, but I think for Roro, obviously you get the Metagross out of the way before you reveal your last poke if you can help it. And then there's also the matter of Linear's last poke. That's yet to be determined. It could be a Magneton. That makes a bit of sense to me. Heracross, Salamence, and Meta are all things that want Skarmory to not be there, but at the same time, those are all Pokemon that can threaten it on its own and don't necessarily need Magneton. Here is the trade that we talked about. So there is the Dugtrio taking out the Meta after Raikou bites it. And here comes the Salamence, which is going to get an Irrelevant Intimidate off here. Porygon 2 is going to be the obvious switch. No lefties being gained here. This might be a CB Mence, which is going to be a little bit tougher to deal with at this point. Porygon really doesn't want to switch into a CB Brick Break here. That would be quite devastating. And depending on what the last poke is for Roro, this might be game right here. He may not be able to deal with this CB Mence at this point. He would have to sacrifice something just to get the Porygon 2 in, just to temporarily deter the Salamence. But that is not a long-term winning strategy. And Blissey can just come in on the P2, basically consequence-free. I don't see how you win from that position. What would need to happen from Roro's end is it would have to just be a last poke, like I said, Coon or Lax or Rachi, maybe Rachi with Ice Punch, something that can beat the Mence here or at least survive it and then knock it out back. And yeah, he's going to let it go. There's the Earthquake. Down that goes. And Porygon 2. So Roro is not willing to show the last poke just yet. This will force Linear out. He's not going to stay in and get hit by an Ice Beam or a Thunder Wave or whatever it may be. He's just going to make the obvious switch to Bliss. And Roro simply going to go for a cover. But the real question of this game is, what does Roro have in the back? They begin the blow for blow. That's going to speed things right up with the Ice Beam Freeze. That's pretty lucky for Linear, who's already ahead. Porygon 2 could attempt here to come back in on Bliss, trace Natural Cure, and get out of here. Alright, there's the last poke for Roro. Here is Jirachi. That's one of the pokes that we had discussed. Depending on the moveset, there is a chance here. Body Slam Rachi could catch Paris for days, but I really doubt that it's that set given the rest of the team. It's got to be some kind of Calm Mind variant, and we see that it is. Blissey does have Thunder Wave, which is obnoxious. I think Roro is probably hoping that it is a Toxic Bliss that can't do that, but no such luck. He's taking those S-Toss as well, so we can clearly see that it's a bulky Jirachi, looking like a max HP variant. However, he's going to have to wish real soon, because the Seismic Tosses are adding up. He's going to go Psychic here. Maybe he doesn't even have Wish. It might be a bulky Calm Mind 3 attacker, but this is not going to get the job done. He will simply lose to the Salamence if this continues. Porygon 2 does come in here to the Bliss to trace Natural Cure, so it will switch out and be able to get rid of the Freeze, which is exactly what happens here. But where does this leave Roro? Is he going to attempt to win the game with only the Porygon 2? That seems to be his last hope. It comes in at this point, and Linear has just been going beat down with the Blissey, doing nothing but Seismic Toss for however many turns in a row. Roro is going to see that there is no way out of this. He's going to concede, goes through the motions for a couple of turns, but ultimately there is no way out, and he is going to pack it in. Game 1 in this best of 3 is going to go to Linear, and defending Cup champion Roro, back against the wall against one of the best players in the world, is going to have to rattle off 2 in a row, or he will lose his dream of being a repeat champion. When the next game is going to happen, not so clear. I don't know if I should stay here and make it all one big long video, or if we are looking at a situation where they're going to be taking a 5 or 10 minute break and I should cut to another video. We'll say better safe than sorry. I will make another video. I'm going to cut it off here, but the next game could be happening any moment, so I will definitely stay tuned. You guys should too. And we will absolutely check out Game 2 together and see how the series plays out. Stay tuned.